Hey guys, Sayul here with just a little tutorial on how to get your Borderlands 2 to play in split screen on the PC. Now, as you may know, on the platform versions in PS3 or Xbox 360, you have the option of playing a split screen game on the same console with someone else in the same room. But that doesn't exist on the Steam version or on the PC version. Well, I'm going to show you how you can get the Steam version of the game to play in split screen on the same computer with only one version of the game. So the only things you're going to need for this is the retail version of the game, of course, and you'll also need a program called Sandboxie. Now this program is free and you can get it from Sandboxie.com. It's free to download, free to use. Just download it, install it, and it'll work great. So you just go to Sandboxie.com, click download, and you can download it straight from their website. Now I already have it installed, so I'm not going to go through that. But the next thing you'll want to do after you have that installed is you'll want to pull up Sandboxie, and you'll want to create a new sandbox. So you can do that through your sandbox and say create a new sandbox and just give it any name you want. I called mine Steam 2 if you want to call it that. That's it'd be a little bit easier to follow in the video, but you don't have to do that. After you have it created, just right click on it and say Sandbox Settings. So you want to give it a little bit of access to certain things. The first thing you're going to want to give it access to is hardware. You want to have it simulate keyboard and mouse input, so make sure this is checked. Now the other thing you're going to want to add is in the resource access, you want to come down to file access and you want to give it direct access to your program files, your Steam folder, wherever you have that installed to, and this folder right here, it's in your documents, my games, and Borderlands 2. Now this folder is where your computer automatically saves any of your game files that you have, and you should already have one there if you have already been playing the game. So after you give it access to those folders and you give it access to simulate your mouse and keyboard movement, then you are set in the Sandboxie control. You can go ahead and close that. Now, if you want to use the same file that the same save that you've been using in Borderlands 2, that's easy to do. So just pull up your My Games folder. It's in your documents, and go to Borderlands 2. Willow Game, save data, and this will look similar to your save file. You'll have something like this there if you're using, especially if you're using Steam. So just look in here, and you'll want to copy this out and create a new folder. I just named it 2, and just paste that in there. It's going to be the exact same file, the exact same save. Now when you're using split screen, it is using 2 different saves. It is not using the exact same save. If you started this up in split screen mode without copying this over, it will start a new file for your second save, which is fine. It's not going to damage your first save whatsoever. So after you've done that and you have Sandboxie installed, the next thing you'll want to do is switch Steam into offline mode. It may not be required, but I do it anyway. It's a little bit easier. So it'll restart in offline mode, and you'll see here that I have some scripts here already pre-written out, and I'll put this in the comment section of the video. And this is just a batch file that I have that will launch the games as they need be. So this would be for your first player, where it basically opens up the game without the Steam launcher and sets it to window mode, and you're set to go. So you just save this, and again, this will be in the description of the video. Just go ahead and save this as whatever you want to call it. I call mine Borderlands 1, but you want to call it Borderlands1.bat for a batch file. This will run it as a command script to run the game. So it says you want to replace it. Sure, that's the same file. Your second script is going to be a little bit different. You're going to be elevating it through Sandboxie. Now, if you named your sandbox something other than Steam 2, you will want to change it right here. So you'll still want to have your Start.exe or wherever you point it, wherever you installed Sandboxie to. You want to elevate it to the sandbox that you just created. Then you're going to do the exact same thing as you did before. You're going to run Borderlands 2, tell it not to use the launcher, always focused, put it in windowed mode. If you're using two or three different monitors, it would be better to use full screen windowed mode if your graphics card can support that. Of course, that is not required by any means necessary, but for the purpose of this video, I'll be using windowed mode so that you can get it all on one screen. Now, another thing that you want to make sure you have that's different in this one is the controller offset. Now, if you're using two different players on one screen, you can do two different controllers, or you can do a controller and a mouse. But either way, you want to have the controller offset equal to 1 for player 2. And if you're going to use more than one person, say if you have 3 or 4 people you want to do a split screen with, you can do that, but you need to increment your controller offset to 2 and 3. Also, your SaveDataId. This is the folder that you just created here. This is the 2, right, that you made inside your My Games directory. If you named it something else, this is where you're going to need to change that. If you have 3 or 4 people playing and you have a 3 and 4 folder, then you'll need to specify that in those scripts. So save both of these as batch files, and you won't have to worry about that ever again. I already have those made, so we'll just go into opening the game. It's a simple, after you have it in offline mode, which it is, it's just a simple process of double clicking and it will open the game, your first player, in the normal Steam. Now I'm using an Xbox controller, and I'm also going to use keyboard and mouse for the second player. You can do it any way that you wish. It is easier to have controllers because if you're using a keyboard and mouse, it does have a tendency, especially in windowed mode, to click off of the screen during rapid mouse movements. Now, as you can see, this is impossible to be split screen, so you can go in here and you can modify your video, your resolution. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right. So that's set up, and it's running. It'll go. Now you'll want to come into your second script. This is the other script that you modified, or that you created. It's the longer one. So you're gonna just go ahead and run that. This will take a little bit longer to run because it's creating everything in the sandbox. It's pulling over every file that it needs to run this in the sandbox. And as you can see down here, with the Sandboxie control, it does look different. That means that it's running. There are files that are being created, files that are running. Anything that you run in the sandbox cannot modify your system. It's a very good way to test different programs. It's also a good way to run two different versions of Steam that can't see each other, that can communicate with each other though. So while we're waiting for this to come up, we'll come back into the game, and I apologize for the sound. We're just going to go ahead and continue. So back here we have Steam has finally started up in the second version, so I'm going to tell it to go into offline mode, and just going to wait for that to come up. It'll be about the same amount of time, but the controller offset is set for 1 for the second player. So your controller that you're using, whatever controller you use to start the game, will be recognized by the first version of Steam, or the first version of the game. That controller cannot modify the second window. So that's good, because otherwise it would be pointless to have a split screen if the controller is conflicted. But it's good to have that. So it's starting up right now. I'm going to go ahead and lose focus on that real quick. And again, I do apologize for the sound. It's a little bit on the loud side. I did not prepare for that. If it's loud coming through on the video, I'm not sure if it is or is not, but If it is loud on the video, I do apologize. Now, Sandboxie has a thing that it puts a yellow border around any program that is in the sandbox, so you can see that it is being run as a sandbox. Alright, so we're starting up our second version of Borderlands 2. They are both running on the exact same machine. And how you can join the game, it's very simple. You will be set in LAN mode since you are offline. When this finally loads up, we'll just simply do find games, and it found it. So we'll just go ahead and log into this game, and you can see on the other screen it'll pop up here that I've joined the struggle, and I did. So I'm connected to it. This is the exact same account. We copied that over. So just hit play.
Should we band together, we'll survive this. Our enemies will not.
And each one is separate. So there's my other character. Alright, and we are now playing split screen. It is that simple. Everything just works. Even if we want to travel, say, to Caustic Caverns. It's as simple as that. Now, if you want it to run multiple versions of the game, if you want to run 3 or 4, you will have to... Oh, hold on. Go ahead and minimize this so it's not as loud. If you want it to run 3 or 4 different players on one computer, you will have to use go through the same method and just make new versions of your Sandboxie. You'll want to have 3 different sandboxes running, so you'll have a Steam 3 and a Steam 4. But unfortunately, you will have to purchase the full version of Sandboxie in order to do that, because it does not allow you to run more than one sandbox on the free version at one time. The full version of Sandboxie, it's not exactly cheap, but it is worth it. It runs about 39 quid. But it's a lifetime license. You buy it. It's exactly like Fraps. If you've ever purchased Fraps, you buy it once and you're good for life. So it's definitely a good purchase if you're looking for even for just security or anything like that. It's definitely good. Now, if you want it to split the sound, you will have to look at secondary hardware, because right now the sound is only coming out of whatever window is in focus. And if you're using a controller, or if you're using a keyboard and mouse with controllers, it would have to be the one that has the keyboard and mouse, obviously, that would be in focus. So that would be the sound that you would be hearing. But it would not be conflicting. You would not hear 2 at the same time. And if you wanted to split that, you can, but you would have to go through third-party software to do that. But I hope you guys found this guide a little bit useful, and have fun playing Borderlands. You can now do it split screen. See you.